Sheila Johnson and every WNBA star should thank God every morning and every night for Caitlin.
Skip Bayless recently expressed strong opinions about the WNBA and critics of Caitlin Clark, leaving the sports world stunned. The renowned journalist and commentator didn't hold back, criticizing the unusual reactions to Clark's Time Athlete of the Year award.
Here was her greatest achievement. The biggest reason she was chosen Athlete of the Year by Time: Caitlin Clark lifted the WNBA into the national consciousness, made it a thing for the first time. People everywhere were talking about the WNBA in ways they never did before.
Here's where it gets intriguing. Once upon a time, Bayless was one of Clark's biggest critics. That's right. So how did Bayless go from criticizing her to becoming one of her strongest supporters? And why is the WNBA treating Clark's success as an issue? We'll dive into these questions and more in this video. Ready? Let's go.
That skinny white girl was the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA. She's already the most exciting and entertaining player in the league, the entire league, the one you can't take your eyes off of.
Caitlin Clark's rise to Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year for 2024 should have been a moment to celebrate women's basketball, but instead, it ignited a firestorm of controversy that has left the sports world shaken. You'd think everyone would be applauding this historic achievement, marking the first time a WNBA player has earned this prestigious title, but not everyone saw it that way. Enter Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics. She came out swinging, criticizing Time's decision in a way that took everyone by surprise.
Johnson said she did not agree with Time magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year, and with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. Johnson said the entire WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover.
Johnson argued that highlighting Clark was a misstep, believing the entire WNBA deserved recognition, not just one player. But she didn't stop there. Johnson further claimed that spotlighting Clark could lead to resentment among other players in the league.
The WNBA has a long legacy of black stars, and that, and I quote, "Something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese," as in, of course, Chicago's Angel Reese. Johnson said, and I quote, "There's so much talent out there that's unrecognized, and I don't think we can pin it on just one player. When you single out one, it creates hard feelings," end of quote.
But it gets even more complex. Johnson took it a step further, suggesting there were racial undertones in the situation. She expressed concern for players of color, who she believes are just as talented, but haven't received the same recognition. Johnson argued that the media's portrayal of race in sports was exacerbating the issue.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen.
Here's where things get really wild. Johnson's own team, the Mystics, has actually benefited from Clark's popularity. Games featuring Clark's team, the Fever, have seen record attendance. So, Johnson's criticism seems to contradict the very success her team is enjoying, all thanks to Clark's star power.
Ready for the ultimate irony about what Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark? Last season, for Caitlin Clark's 2 visits to Washington, the Mystics moved the games from their little home arena, which seats a little under 5,000, to the Wizards Arena, which officially seats 20,356. And thanks to Caitlin Clark, Sheila Johnson's Mystics drew the WNBA's biggest crowd of the year and the WNBA's 3rd biggest crowd of the year.
He's not known for pulling punches, and he certainly didn't hold back.
So the Mystics went from about 5,000, averaging about 5,000 for all their other home games, to an average of 20,500 for the 2 Caitlin visits. What? I mean, Sheila Johnson should, I don't know, at least send Caitlin some flowers, because she never gives her any flowers in interviews for sure. But no way should Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark alone be on the cover of Time, or so Sheila indicated. and I say baloney to that.
Biss didn't just disagree with Johnson. He went all in. He argued that Clark's influence on the WNBA's popularity has been nothing short of revolutionary, a stance that sent shockwaves through the basketball community.
Now allow me to tell you how I interpret everything Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark. Johnson is saying to me, the majority of WNBA players are black and have always been black, that basketball belongs more to black players than to white, and that it's not healthy for the league to have a white player featured as Athlete of the Year on the cover of Time. Now, I'm pretty sure if WNBA MVP Asia Wilson had made the cover of Time as Athlete of the Year, Johnson wouldn't have had any problem with that.
So how did we get here? How did a moment that should have been a triumph for women's basketball turn into this heated debate? And why is Skip Biss, of all people, emerging as Caitlin Clark's most vocal defender? To understand that, we need to take a closer look at Biss's journey from Clark's skeptic to her most ardent supporter. Imagine feeling guilty for praising an exceptional athlete. That's exactly the dilemma Skip Biss faced when it came to Caitlin Clark. But what sparked his dramatic change of heart? Known for his bold opinions, Biss initially approached Clark with skepticism. He wasn't sure what to make of this rising star in women's basketball. But as he watched Clark play, something unexpected happened. Biss couldn't deny her talent anymore.
Watching the WNBA much more closely than I ever had, and I started to think, deep down in my psyche, wait a second, she's really good. But I'll be the first to admit, I felt guilty saying so on TV or on social media. I did not want to look like this red state white guy cheering for this red state white girl. Our country feels split enough racially already. I didn't want to pour gasoline on that.
The sports commentator found himself in a tough spot. He knew Clark was incredible, but he hesitated to speak up. However, as Clark continued to dominate on the court, he couldn't stay silent any longer. He had a realization that changed everything. Are you ready to hear what Skip has to say? If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Now, let's get back to the action.
She led the league in logo threes made, in part because she surely attempted the most very deep threes. No female player has ever been able to jump shoot from such distance or even tried to.
He boldly declared that skinny white girl was the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA, emphasizing that he saw beyond the racial discussion and fully recognized Clark's transformative impact on the entire league.
Clark's long-distance threes became the most exciting shot in the WNBA. Her spectacular passes became the most exciting plays in the WNBA. Now, yes, she shattered the WNBA's record for turnovers because she would try to pull off passes that were all but impossible. But at least, once or twice a game, sometimes 3 or 4 times a game, she did pull off the near impossible. She accomplished all of the above while occasionally being bullied and cheap-shotted by veteran players who clearly were jealous and resentful of the publicity she was generating. Not just generating about her, but for the league. Yet not once did Caitlin Clark complain about the bullying or the cheap-shotting. Not once did she say anything but the right thing about how black stars had built this league. Caitlin Clark just kept playing, kept getting better and better and better.